Hello, guys. Welcome back to the show. Today, we have a very awesome guest with me today who finally responded to my emails and scheduled a
Whoa.
session, but better late than never, right? So, Gracie, would you like to introduce yourself for the listeners?
Of course. So,
Welcome to the Honors Podcast.
my name is Gracie Lefever. Currently a senior in the honors program, graduating in 2 weeks?
Crazy.
Craziness. I am a behavioral neuroscience major, special education minor. I am going to grad school in May, starting in May at University of South Carolina for speech therapy.
That's so cool. That's where my mom did her undergrad and master's. She's from Columbia.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a good city. It's
Yeah.
very fun. And then what's your homeland? Where do you hail from?
I am from Jamestown, North Carolina, so only 10 minutes from High Point, so
Okay.
stayed close to home.
That was fun. That's so interesting. Okay, when you're a kid, we're all about starting at the beginning. What was your either favorite book, show, or movie as a child?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Do you have an age you're thinking or just childhood?
Whatever comes to mind.
I was big into Harry Potter, but that was
Okay.
when I was maybe early middle school maybe.
Yeah.
Read all the books, watched all the movies because my mom was really into it. And so I was like, what are you talking about? And then so she was like, you got to read these books. And I was like, okay.
This is really refreshing to hear. Literally
Really?
every single person before you has said the Percy Jackson series.
Okay, well, I did like those too, but I'm going to be so honest, I didn't finish all the books.
Yeah. I never even started Harry Potter.
Really?
I read the first one. I had seen all the movies already, so it was hard to get into it knowing what happens.
I can see that.
It was fun. So that's really great. How would you say reading Harry Potter or any of these other books has influenced who you are as a person?
Oh, man. I did love to read when I was a kid. I loved to read and I loved to write. I remember I used to spend, my recesses in, 4th grade just, sitting and writing in, a journal, creative stories and stuff like that. And I think I liked writing because I liked reading.
Yeah.
And I think I still try to read for fun as much as I can. And I think enjoying reading made me really good at it. Now I'm, a really fast reader. So, when I'm doing work and stuff, it's not oh my gosh, I have to read this many pages. I'm okay, I can get it done. And, I think that's been good, hopefully for school.
Dang, journaling during recess?
I know, I was a nerd.
That's major nerd
I was
right
a nerd.
there. That was fun. I mean, I'm an English major right now, and I never writ that much. Wrote?
Oh, yeah.
You can tell I'm from Georgia. I say things like writ.
Oh, that's funny.
It was fun. So have you grown up in Jamestown, North Carolina, your whole life?
Yeah, I was born in South Carolina in Aiken, but we moved here when I was 3, so I don't really count that time in South Carolina. So.
What was that experience like? What would you say about growing up in Jamestown, North Carolina?
I liked it. I mean, obviously, I didn't really know anything different since we moved here when I was 3. I liked kind of the small town vibes. I went to the same school from 2nd grade till 12th grade, so I kind of had the same community around me, my little neighborhood and all my little school friends. And I know, my brother actually went to High Point, too. So when he graduated 4 years before me, and then went to High Point while I was in high school. So it was kind of I knew High Point as this, vague off thing while I was, younger. And then my brother went there, and it became more, real. Yeah. And then when it became my turn to pick a school, I was well, I mean, High Point was so amazing for my brother. And I was learning more about it, and I was oh, that looks pretty good.
Was it always kind of High Point, or were you considering other schools in that kind of junior, senior year of
Yeah,
high
I
school?
did consider other schools, all in North Carolina. I knew I wanted to stay in the state.
Yeah.
But it ended up being High Point just because I also have a younger sister, and she was 5 at the time that I was graduating high school, and I really just wanted to be close enough to still be there as she's growing up and in those vital years. So, and I think it's been really good because I was able to see her on the weekends and stuff, and yeah, it was a good choice. And obviously honors too. A lot of the other schools I applied to either didn't have honors or I didn't get into honors, and I knew that that was something I wanted in a school.
How did you decide that you wanted to be in like an honors program?
Well, my brother was in honors here, so
Okay.
I knew kind of like the vibes of Finch and like Dr. Hedman and like everyone, and I was like I want that community of like a smaller group within the school that like people, like-minded people, all the same things.
Wait, so did you meet Dr. Hedman like way before when you were like younger?
I don't remember exactly when I met him. I think it might have been my brother's graduation around that time, but it wasn't like a he knew who I was type thing. I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's the director of honors. Yeah.
That's very cool.
I know.
Okay. What did you like about the honors program, and why did that appeal to you? And like kind of what type of student were you growing up in?
Yeah.
Middle school, high school, whatever you call those?
Yeah. I was definitely a very dedicated student. My mom used to talk all the time about how I was so different from my brother because he would never study for anything and still get good grades, and I would study for like hours and get the good grades. And I would always be like, I don't know if like I need to be studying, but like I couldn't not study. Like I was like, I can't be unprepared. So I would always be doing my projects like 3 weeks before and studying like a week before, and very nerd, as we already established, but very much like dedicated to the studies.
Oh, that's good.
So
why are you dedicated?
I don't know. I think honestly part of it was I was like afraid to be unprepared. I was like, I have to be like on top of it. But there was never any like academic pressure or anything from my parents. Like it was totally just within me. Like I want to be the best.
That's good. Okay, and then we got these very cool combination of majors, behavioral neuroscience with a minor in special education. How did you decide on those two things?
Yeah, so I decided in high school kind of that I wanted to pursue speech therapy as a career after kind of talking to the therapist at my school. One of my friend's little brothers was in speech, and we just started talking about it. I met her, and I was like, this job seems like really cool, like a good combo of like teaching, which is something I was interested in, but also science, which was another thing that was kind of like drawing my attention. So I was like, this feels like a good combo, but then I knew that High Point didn't have the specific degree that you really need to be a speech therapist. So I was kind of trying to pick like what would get me there into these grad programs. So originally I came in as bio, but changed my major in like the first week because I was talking to my professors and they were like, no, like neuro would be like a good track for you. And I was like, okay. So switched to neuro, and then my sophomore year, the neuro department kind of expanded and made 2 tracks. So they had neurobio and then behavioral neuro. And they were like, you guys don't have to pick a track, but like just if you want to, you can. The behavioral neuro is more like the psych side of neuro, and I think that interested me more and also was more applicable to like where I was headed. So I was like, okay, I'll declare this track. So then I was on that track, still taking neuro classes, now taking more psych classes. And then last year, my junior year, I was looking at my schedule for senior year and everything, and I was like, I'm not going to have enough classes to take. Like, I could graduate early, but then I was like, but I don't really want to graduate early because I wanted to have, the full experience of all 4 years and everything. So I was like, what can I add that would, like, be helpful for me? So I was thinking about it and then looking at special ed because I want to hopefully work with children as my like main population. And I've been working in a school for the past 3 years.
Wow.
So I knew.
As what?
After school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would go at like 2 o'clock when the kids get out of school, hang out with them, help with homework, stuff like that. So I knew that I liked working with kids, so I thought maybe special ed would be a good kind of start into like being a speech therapist in the school system. And it has been really good. I've really enjoyed my special ed classes. I got to shadow a speech therapist last year and then shadow in an EC classroom this year. So it's been a very good introduction into everything that goes on because like you wouldn't realize how much goes on just to like help a child in the school system get their speech services that they need. So it's been really informative. So I'm glad that I found that and declared that minor and got to take those classes. So it is a weird combo, but it has got me where I need to go for grad school. So
that's good. And then what is like the program you're going to be doing at USC?
Yeah, so it's called Communication Sciences and Disorders. So that's like its fancy title. But basically it's just a lot of like speech disorder, audiology type classes. I'll be in placement, so in schools and hospitals. They have a clinic on campus. I'll be in their clinic as well. And it's just a 2-year program of classes and placements. And then once I'm done, I have like a final internship somewhere of my choice. They place me somewhere. And then once I do that, I'm done. And I just get certified as a speech therapist.
It was fun. You mentioned you've been working as like an after-school person for kids for like 2 years?
Since sophomore year I started.
Since sophomore year of college. In our honors program here, we like do a lot of tutoring with the local schools and all that stuff, really like working with the kids. And I remember I did it my freshman year when I had time in my spring semester, and I loved it. I worked with middle schoolers specifically.
Yeah.
And like I loved being with the kids and like just helping them and like being that like big brother kind of person for them. And like it really helped keep my own life in perspective too. So I was wondering if you had any of that experience and like you find that value in working with the kids and kind of just having them in your life.
Yeah, it's been really fun because I actually work at the school that I went to, so Wesleyan, which is just right down the street. But I'm working with elementary schoolers. So when I started, the kids that are in 2nd grade now were in like kindergarten, and the program has changed every single year that I've been there. Every school year, they either have someone different in charge or they're changing stuff. So it's been a lot of like adjustment, but the thing that has stayed the same has been the kids, because it's the same kids every year that their parents work late, so they have to be in after school. And the growth that I've seen in some of these kids, like when they were in kindergarten, they were little menaces. Like they were off the walls, like crazy every single day. And now they're grown. I feel like they're like little adults. Like they'll sit and they'll do their homework. And I'm like, you are so amazing. Like I got to watch that growth of like going from just like a little tiny, like still you're a baby, and now you're like a big kid. Like it's crazy. And like, yeah, like you were saying, like that perspective of like, I have so much going on, but 3 times a week I get to just go to this school and hang out with these kids and learn about their little lives and like what is dramatic in a 4th grader's life. Like you would be so surprised. And it's just kind of like, sometimes I feel like I have like 2 different personalities. Like there's school me and then there's like work me. But yeah, it's been really fun to like watch them grow up.
Do they know that you went to school there too, and they try to?
They do, yeah. Some of them do, especially because my little sister as well is there and after school, so she's always like telling them like, "This is my sister," like whatever, and they're always like confused when they're like, "Are you in school?" And I'm like, "I'm in college," and they're like, "What?" what is that? And like, where are you doing that? Where do you live? They love to ask that. They're like, do you live at home? And I'm like, no, I don't live at home. And they're so confused, but it's cute.
Yeah, that's so cute. I always find it's funny, like teachers and like how like old the kids think they are.
Oh yeah, I love that game. They're always like, how old are you? And I'm like, guess. And
yes,
I've gotten anywhere.
Megan Bartle does the same thing.
Yes.
I was talking to her about that.
Yes, anywhere from like 60 to like 15. I'm like, what?
It's so funny. It's like no perception of age
concept
whatsoever. It's so interesting. I feel like, did you have a good concept of age when you were a kid? Because I feel like I did understand.
Yeah,
like,
I feel definitely.
Like I would think about like, what would I be doing when I was 50, when I was like in kindergarten?
Oh yeah.
Seems like a weird thing to think about, but
That's so
what we
you.
were doing. That was fun. Okay. So kind of like a philosophical question in line with that. What has working with kids taught you about who we are as humans and what the next generation will do in advancing society?
Yeah. I like to talk about this a lot with the kids. They have such a short attention span now, and they just want instant gratification all the time. Like if we're watching a movie or something and an ad pops up, they're like, oh my gosh, skip it. And I'm like, you can't skip it. Like it's a 30-second ad. Like it's unskippable. And they're like losing their minds. And I'm like, we as kids used to sit and watch like commercials every like 10 minutes in our shows, and we would be fine with it. And I feel like I sound so old when I talk about this, but it's so true. Like they are just so like, they want everything immediately. And I can like see how that could be good, like really going after what they want, I guess, if you want to think like really big and broad. Maybe when they grow up, they'll just be really like go-getters. But also just like the inability to wait, I think is so interesting.
Yeah, you hear a lot about needing to be bored. Like you need to know how to be bored because like creativity and like ideas come from that. So if you're like constantly stimulating yourself, you can never have that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But it is also good to see a lot of them do love creative things. Like if I give them a choice between like watching something or like drawing, most of them will pick like drawing or coloring or something. So I do see a lot of them being creative, which I think is good. Maybe they'll be inventors or something when they grow up.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I mean, they're definitely going to have a lot at their fingertips.
Yes, lots of resources. So
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
I was like, because we're like the last generation to be like raised before kind of like phones and like immediate access to technology. And because of that, like we know what came before.
Yeah.
Like how many of them are going to know what came before? Like they're going to think like phones were always there.
Yeah, they have no idea.
And, like, you know, the thing was like call someone and they're like that
they do
instead
this,
of that. It's like,
yeah, it's
so
crazy.
But I'm excited. I'm optimistic about it.
No, yeah.
See excited what they will do and all that fun stuff. Okay. Back to HPU. Behavioral neuroscience. Have you done any research in that or?
Yeah, so my research journey has been interesting. So I started with SERPS, so the summer program in the sciences. I did that the summer between my freshman and sophomore year.
Nice.
And I was in the biology department at that time because that was kind of before this whole like behavioral neuro thing. I was with some of my friends. I think you know Taylor Galavati.
Taylor Galavati.
Yeah. We were in the same peer mentor group, and then obviously both in honors. So we were in all the same classes because she's also a neuro major. So we were like this, like side by side since day one. So I knew she was doing SERPs, and so we ended up actually picking the same PI, like professor, to be in SERPs with. So it was Dr. Suh. We were doing biology research on cancer cells. It was really interesting stuff, but for me, it was so much like lab. Like it was like you have to be sterile, like you can't like do anything wrong or else the cells will get contaminated. And I was like, this is too much pressure. Like it's a lot of like going into the lab and just like sitting there and waiting for things to run and like whatever. And I'm like, it was a great experience, but it definitely taught me that that was not the type of research that I was into. So then after that summer, it was really great. I mean, we got to present and everything, so that was a good, resume booster, good practice and stuff. But then once the behavioral neuro thing kind of came to light, I started looking more in the psych department. And so then I started research with Dr. Jones in psych, and she does like working memory cognition research. So ever since sophomore year, I've been with her lab, and we work with older adults. So we go to the senior center that's like right by Target, and we go there and try and recruit the older adults to be in our studies. So we've done 2 different studies, one with like board games and how they help improve memory, and then one with the production effect, which is just the idea that if you like say it out loud or write it down, you'll remember better. So we've just done research on those 2 topics for the past couple years. Got to present at a conference, obviously at High Perks and everything. So yeah, that has been my like, I guess outside major specific research, but we do have the honors research and everything junior year, which was a great time.
Did you have fun with that one?
Yes, we did have fun. I had all of my friends in my like section of 37, 3800, so we kind of stacked it so that we would have good groups. And yeah, so my group, it was me and like 3 of my really close friends, and our topic, like overall theme, was culture. So we decided to do our project on romance movies, and how they've kind of evolved since like the 80s up until now. So our project was basically just watching movies, but we were coding them for like specific things, and then at the end we kind of like put all of our coding together and kind of tried to draw some conclusions from all that. So it was a good time. We had fun, for sure.
Oh, that's good. Have romance movies gotten better, or are the older ones better?
I don't know. We were trying to be like as like objective as possible. We were trying not to put our opinions in there, but some of them that we were watching, actually, some of the older ones were actually pretty good. It was kind of like the middle where we were like,
interesting. What
is this? Like, because like the old ones, they're like classics, like everyone knows them, everyone loves them. But then like the 90s, we were just kind of like what? Like, what are these ones? But it was still fun. It was, I hadn't seen like any of the movies on our list.
Yeah.
So it was.
Really? You haven't seen any of the romance movies?
Well, so we picked like the top ones every 5 years. Okay. So we had like, I think 10 or 20 movies or something like that. So, and the top movies of the year would not be the ones that you would expect, really. Like we were basing it off of like box office. So Definitely, yeah.
So top movie by box office.
Yeah, of like 1980, 1985,
Okay.
1990. Yeah. So definitely when we like went through the data at the end, we were like, there's definitely a better way that we could have done that to get like a more representative movie
Yeah.
of the like decade. But you live
Because
and you
like
learn.
once you hit the 2010s, like romance movies don't come out in theaters really
Yes.
anymore. It's all like streaming and all that stuff, which is very interesting too.
Yeah.
Like why that happened, but I don't know. Because like movie theater movies are all like big
Yeah.
blockbuster action movies, but then like so many other movies just come out on cable
Yeah.
or streaming. So that's very interesting. That's a cool project. I'll be
Yeah.
doing that next year, so hopefully we have a good theme.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Okay, so you've done lots of a good variety of research from
Yes.
biology to psychology to culture. What have you learned across those different things about what it means to be a good researcher, and then as well as that collaboration with other lab partners or workers in the group?
Yeah. I think to touch on the collaboration thing first, I think we learned a lot, especially in the honors project about that, trying to, you know, divvy up the work and make sure that like everyone is doing enough, doing their part. Also for our project, we were trying to figure out like a time where we could all be together and watch and code and everything. So it definitely, even though we were like already friends and like fine with talking to each other, it wasn't awkward, it was still difficult to try and like find all those times and communicate and make sure everything was getting done. So we definitely learned a lot about like reaching out pretty far in advance and like making sure you got things on your schedule, you're not forgetting about it. And then like when it came time to like do all the data, like make sure everyone knows what they're doing, knows how to do it. But yeah, so that was a lot of collaboration like within the lab members. I think when I did SERPs, we learned a lot about working with the professor because our professor, he was kind of like really in the need to be in control, and he did not want us to really do much because like it is so important to not contaminate the cells and everything. And I remember us getting kind of frustrated, and we were like, we're here to like do this, but we're not really getting the chance to like actually physically do it. And so we were kind of learning in that sense like how to kind of broach it with him and be like, hey, like we feel like we can do more, like we want to do more, like what can we do to kind of contribute more to this project. So that was kind of a good like learning, especially because we were so like we were babies, like we were little freshmen, learning how to talk to a professor who has their PhD and like knows so much more than you. Like kind of having that balance, I think that was a good experience for us to kind of figure out how to manage that kind of relationship. Yeah, but then I think the first part was like research overall. I think really doing your homework. A lot of the stuff like for Dr. Jones, like we had to do a lot of like background stuff to kind of figure out where we could fit in our research into the field that already existed. And then also with honors, we had a lot of time that we spent trying to find like literature and stuff on our topics. And I think really being knowledgeable about other stuff in addition to your own project, I think is really important because that just kind of makes you feel like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not just talking about your own thing.
Yeah. Especially when you end up going to conference and someone's going to ask you a question about how it connects to something else, and you're like,
I don't know.
outside my qualifications.
Yeah.
Ask my professor.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we actually come up with an answer. That's very cool. So what's your ideal like speech therapist position and like the work environment you're gonna work in? Like have like a boss kind of overseeing you or like independent autonomy? What's the dream?
So I'm thinking I would love to work in the school systems, at least start in the school systems, just because I really know that there's a lot of need there. And I, like I said, like to work with kids. Not everyone does. And I really do enjoy it. So I think that being a school-based SLP would be really exciting because there are a lot of kids in the school system that are not getting either any services at all or just not enough because there's not enough speech therapists in the schools. Like the school that I'm in right now for my placement for special ed, they have like an in-house school like speech therapist, but she was telling me the other day that she just hired a part-time speech therapist to kind of help her out because her caseload was so large in the school. She needed extra help. So there's definitely a need there, and I think watching for kids especially, like you are able to see like every little milestone they hit is like a huge thing for them. Like if they're working on saying their R's or something and they get it right, it's like the most amazing thing, and it's so exciting, and they're so excited because they're so young, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I did something fun. Not saying that like older adults or adults couldn't have the same experience, but I think for kids, because they have so many milestones to hit because they're so young, every single one is really exciting. But yeah, I'm interested in learning more about early intervention as well. So that would be like birth through like 4 or 5, because that is really at the critical period for speech.
Yeah.
So I think that would be really interesting to look at too, like kids who are like having speech delay or something like that before they even get into school, seeing how we can help them with that.
Okay.
So
I'm interested. Give us the Lefever breakdown. What's like the causes of like speech therapy impediments and like these young kids that you end up needing to go to a speech therapist?
Yeah. So, I mean, causes really, like, that would vary a lot in the school systems. Like, what I've seen so far, it's a lot of kids with autism, because that's one of the main things of autism is a speech or communication delay or impediment or something.
Yeah.
So, usually with them, it's not really like the pronunciation. There's kind of 2 types of like speech disorders. You can either have like the pronunciation ones or like language ones. So that would be like using correct grammar or like actually forming full sentences or like using words that mean the right thing at the right time. So there's that, and then there's also just straight up like, can you say the sounds? So there are a lot of kids that have speech delay or they have speech sound disorder where they just can't say the sounds. But then for kids with like autism or developmental delay or intellectual disability, they are going to have that kind of more language side of it where they're just like not doing spontaneous speech. They'll just like to repeat stuff. So there's kind of those like 2 parties that I guess you could say. And you will see both no matter what like population you work with. So yeah, I think with kids, it's honestly probably a pretty good mix of both.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, is it more kids with speech impediments now, or is there like do you know what the trends are with speech impediment in elementary school?
I'm not sure specifically. I do know that the rate of autism is really rising. There's a lot more diagnoses of autism than there have been ever. And so like I said, that's a big like language communication component of that. I don't know like the specific types of disorders if they're kind of growing, but yeah, I guess that's what grad school is for, to learn all about that.
Is there an increasing like people like you like going into the field to help fill the need? I
hope so. Yeah, because it definitely is the kind of career that people kind of advertise and like this career is growing fast. Like we need people here. I know that my cohort at USC is like 35 people, which is not like huge, but it's also not tiny. So I think there are and there's a lot of programs too. So I'm hoping that people are kind of jumping on this train because, people need the help. So
yeah, and like communication and language, that's what separates us from the animals, right?
Yeah, you're so right.
Do you know any like fun facts about thinking like neuroscience, like the function of language and like how that happens in humans?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about fun facts. I know, I also don't want to say anything wrong and then like somebody actually knowledgeable watch this and be like, what is she talking about? I know that there's auditory processing, so like goes in your ear, whatever goes through all the stuff. There's this part in your working memory called the phonological loop where it's like converting that like auditory words that you're hearing into kind of like neural signals that you can like understand. And you're like, oh, that word means that. And then there's a lot of like psychological theories, I guess, kind of about how we organize language in our brains. So there's some that are like talking about the lexicon, so that's all the words that you know, whether or not they're organized by like relatedness. So if I said like red, would your brain go to like rose and fire truck and things like that? Or if I said red, would it go to something completely different? And like how are they all connected in your brain? So there's a lot of different theories all around that, which are pretty interesting to learn about.
But there's no like proven like this is how language works.
Yeah, there's not that I know of.
No,
lots of people having different ideas about it.
Another thing I know, because I was doing a like neuroscience related project for an honors class.
Cool.
So I ended up consulting Dr. Cochin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like
him.
He's like the department head.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Super cool dude. BT dubs.
He's
but
fun.
we got into a conversation about trying to define intelligence.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That sounds deep.
It was. And we were ultimately like it can't be defined. Like there's no universal definition of intelligence.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what you thought about that, both in like considering your work with the kids, all that experience you have, as well as like learning about neuroscience, as well as being in the honors program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gracie Lefever, what is intelligence?
Wow, that is deep and philosophical. You did prepare me for that. Wow, let me think. I think being in special ed has kind of opened my eyes to a different kind of definition of intelligence because, like, like I would normally say, like, being able to, like, express yourself and, like, at a high level, read, write, math, like all that kind of stuff. And that is what, like, we look at. Like, if we're testing a child's intelligence, like, you're looking at their achievement in reading and writing and math, but you're also looking at their ability. So the kind of gap between ability and achievement is kind of how you, like, would diagnose, I guess, or understand a disability. But I think, like, learning about all of that has kind of taught me that, like, you can be intelligent without having, like, an off-the-wall IQ. Like, there are there's, like, emotional intelligence. Like, we learn all about that in psychology. I think it's really just, like, having your knowledge that no matter how you're getting it, doesn't matter to me, you're gaining your knowledge and you're using it in a way that is productive for either yourself or for society or others around you. Yeah.
So intelligence is defined in relation to the environment and other individuals.
That it does sound like what I said.
Yeah.
That was a deep one. That was a good one.
That was good. Do you think that definition will change at all as we move into the future, especially with all, like, mainstream conversations about artificial intelligence and what that means?
Yeah, I think that, like you were saying, everyone has a different definition. There's no one definition, so I definitely see it ever changing, especially with AI. I'm like the type of person who's like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I'm not going to touch it. But I know that it is becoming a tool that's really helpful. Like, my sister, she, like, uses it to help her with creative writing. Like, she does the same thing as me. She likes to just write for fun. And she'll, like, go to ChatGPT and be like, give me, like, a fun topic or something. And
Your 5-year-old sister?
She's 10 now.
Oh, she's 10. Right, of course.
Yes,
of course.
yes.
That's good. Oh, that's so interesting. I don't know why I've never thought about, like, oh, yeah, the 5th graders use ChatGPT.
Yes, it's crazy.
Oh, that's good. Is it impeding them at all, or is it, like, enhancing them?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't even realize that they were using it until I saw her one day using it for that. So I don't know if she uses it for school or anything, but
yeah.
I think if they're, like, because it is coming so prevalent, if they're learning to use it in the right way, like, as a tool.
It's just the next evolution.
Yeah.
Like, we had computer lab class.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like, they're learning how to use it to support them in their academics rather than, like, do it for them, you know?
That was fun. I was like, because I know when I came out, I had already graduated high school, and I was like, thank goodness I already know how to write and, like, read an essay and, like, write my own essay.
Yeah.
And I was like, I fear if the next, like, current high schoolers are able to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Especially in, like, the AP Lit classes and stuff where you learn how to do all that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, we'll see.
And, like, is that the type of intelligence we value now, or is it different?
Yeah, like being able to use your tools versus actually having it inherently,
Because a big change that has happened is just been, like, memorizing information. But that was already changed with the internet. Like, we don't need to know stuff as much as be able to access stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, there's, in, like, ancient history, you had, like, bards and stuff who, like, had memorized entire stories and songs just to, like, entertain the king, and they were able to do that. But very few people today have that mental ability because, like, our brains aren't conditioned in that way because neuroplasticity is, like, your brain has so many potential outcomes on all that stuff.
Yeah, but if you don't use it, then your connections are going to get pruned.
Pruned. It was so fun. Yeah, how do you build? Do you know how to, like, build a strong neural network? And
yeah, I mean, rehearsal is one of these strategies. Just, like, repeating it over and over.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so boring though.
Yeah. So that's why that actually our research production effect, like, if we're just talking, like, study strategies, production effect is a good one. If you are someone who likes to, like, teach your notes to someone else, that is a good idea. Or you've just, like, a lot of people write on whiteboards, also a good idea. But yeah, like, doing that, like, when you're studying, you're strengthening your neural connections. It's long-term potentiation. Like, you are making them stronger so that they fire better, so that, I guess you remember better on your test.
How does it work in the brain when you have like a bad habit, that's a strong connection, and like breaking that connection to build a better one.
Yeah. Man, that's a good one. I think so. There is like potentiation. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, I learned about this sophomore year. You're really bringing back the memories. There's LTP and LTD, so you can kind of go backwards, and I guess just stop rehearsing it, stop doing it. If you kind of like stop, then the connection will kind of just, go away. I think.
Yeah, very cool. This was kind of a jump, but in terms of like speech therapy, you're like working kind of on the outside, but still within the education system, and you're kind of seeing like the effects of like how they are functioning within classrooms and stuff. So, and your responsibility as a speech pathologist to like help them improve upon their speech impediments, whether it's like they can't pronounce it or grammar and stuff.
Yeah.
What's like the responsibility of other educators, whether that's teachers, community members, or even parents, in the like education and raising of the child?
Yeah. That's a good one. I think everyone definitely plays a role in raising a child.
It takes a village.
It does take a village. It's so true. It's cliche, but it's true. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just talking about this yesterday with the SLP at the school. We were talking, she had a student that we were working with, and she was like, this child has not been read to at all in the home, and you can tell. And I was like, wow, like that's real. Like, because it's always like, oh, like a little bedtime story for your kid or your baby, but like, it's real. Like, they need to read. And like we were talking about earlier with like phones and iPads and everything, like they're not interested in books, but they need to be interested in books, because that is like really integral for forming their connections and everything, and their speech, developing it. Another thing that I like feel strongly about is not talking to your kids in baby talk.
Yeah.
And that goes not just parents, like everybody, because even like kindergarten teachers, like, because they have their cute little baby voices, and so you want to like repeat it because it's cute, but they need proper modeling of proper language so that they can
Because like that's how they
develop
learn.
it. Yes, yeah. So if your kid can't say their L's or something, and you're like constantly repeating it because it's cute and funny, they're never gonna know that they're saying it wrong, So that's just kind of an overall thing. I think for like teachers, obviously I haven't like really experienced this, but I've learned about it and kind of seen it. They kind of try to like push like related services like SLPs, occupational therapists, kind of like to the side a little bit, I guess you could say. Like, they're like, well, I'm the teacher, so I'm going to do this. But it really needs to be more of like a collaboration. Like we were saying, takes a village. Like, it can't just be one person who's trying to help these kids develop everything that they need to. It takes the gen ed teacher to teach them their history and their science and how to just kind of like exist, like walk in a line, eat lunch, wash your hands, things like that. It could take an EC teacher, like a resource teacher, to help them more with like reading and math and writing. It could take a speech therapist to help them with their speech. Like, it really does take everyone to help develop a child. Like, it's crazy.
That's good. Makes it seem like one big adult making factory.
You're so right.
That's so weird to think about.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about one movie on storks.
Yes, that is a good movie.
That is a good movie. That's so interesting. And you feel like, what would be a change you make to the education system to better improve that, whether it's like communication among the workers within the education system, to like better provide that opportunity and the services for the student?
Yeah, I think definitely, like you said, communication is important for sure. I think, honestly, I mean, I know teachers are getting educated in school, but more like professional development, So, like, we had an SLP come into my class, and she gave us basically like a professional development talk that she would give to teachers. And I think that more of those, and it was like on the importance of speech therapy and like working together as a team and not like being separate. So I think a lot of that could be good as well. And then also like between parents and teachers and everyone in the school, like that relationship needs to be good to kind of help the kids get where they need to go, because they can't do it by themselves.
That was good. That's true. And you have good hope for the future with all that?
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to get into grad school, get into my placements, and start seeing it all for real.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
We have two last things for you.
Okay.
First is honors challenge throwback.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I've been given access to the honors archive
Oh, my gosh.
of all
Who
those
gave you
freshman
that?
year challenge photos. So you have two options. Would you like to share
Okay.
your Kill the Noise challenge or your Meet Your Professor challenge?
Oh, man. I'm trying to remember. I think the professor one was Dr. Grider.
Yeah,
And the meet... Oh.
we'll go with that one.
Okay. I don't even remember the other one.
For the Meet Your Professor challenge, Olivia and I took a picture with Dr. Grider at a Neuroscience Club meeting. Dr. Grider is the advisor of the Neuroscience Club. And before taking the picture, we talked about my classes and future career plans. I hope to create a lasting relationship with Dr. Grider through events with the Neuroscience Club and by taking some of his classes in the future.
Oh, my gosh.
That was fun. Was that before you became a neuroscience major?
I think I was a neuro major at that point, but I was just in, like general bio,
Yeah.
stuff like that. As soon as you started reading it, I remembered the picture.
Yeah.
It's COVID. Oh my gosh, that's crazy with the masks.
Yeah.
That feels like 10 years ago.
Yes. See, I feel like even we don't have an accurate perception of time either.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like marked by events,
Yeah.
It's like the years. You know, some straight hair right there.
Oh my gosh, I know. That is crazy.
Oh, it's fun. Oh, fashion changes so
that is
much.
a big one. True.
Because like the really old like marketing photos they have around campus,
Yes.
the ones in Slane before they changed it were so old.
Yeah.
It's like, do they look old just because of the photo or like what they're wearing? I
Yeah.
think about that sometimes too. The big thing is always like the huge chunky jewelry.
Yes.
I'm like,
That was-
whoever thought that was?
I know. Everyone loved it though.
But then I'm like, what is the next thing gonna say about like the tiny?
Yeah,
little-
dainty jewelry. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, what's the point of that? You can't even see it. I don't know.
You're predicting the future.
I don't know. The future can't be predicted, as my high school science teacher said.
It's true.
That's good. All right. To wrap up the podcast, we have one last question for you.
Alrighty.
It's not my question. The previous guest on the podcast has left the question for you to answer,
Oh.
and then you're gonna have an opportunity to leave a question for the next guest
that's
as well.
cute.
Yeah, a little cliffhanger moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So the previous guest wants to ask, what is one thing you've learned from an honors professor that you will remember for the rest of your life?
Oh, I love that question. So I'm going to talk about
Oh,
Prague.
you're prepared.
I am prepared for this question. I love this question. I'm going to talk about Prague. So we went to Prague for the honors semester. I was the first cohort that went to Prague. So that was 2023 after my junior year, right? No, after sophomore year.
Yeah. Because I'm doing it this summer.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're going to have so much fun. I'm so excited for you. It was the best time. So I was in the Space and Place class with Dr. Lepowski and Jay Putnam. Great combo, first of all. Love them. And that class is all about the idea of like a place when a space when you're first getting there is a space because you have no emotional connection to it. You have no memories there, no like knowledge of it. Like it's unknown. And then the class is kind of figuring out how you go from a space into a place, and the places where you do have a connection to it and you have memories that you've made there and like you could walk the streets without directions, like stuff like that. And so we just spent 4 weeks like talking about that difference, and it was so great because like it was literally like we were living it, like because we got to Prague and none of us had ever been there before. We were like, this is crazy, like what are we doing here? It was so totally new. And then by the end of it, we could like get to class without directions. Like we knew exactly what time to leave, which tram to take, like all of this stuff. And it was so cool to just like be living it as we're learning about it. And now every time I travel, I am like thinking about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a space. And then like thinking about everything we talked about, like all the psychological parts of it, all of like, we did like performance aspects, like all of it. It just comes back to me. And I just feel like I'm always going to have that, like every time I travel, and I love to travel, so hopefully I'll be doing it a bunch. Just thinking about that and just remembering honors and Prague and just how it was such a fun time.
That's good. Did either of them say anything to you during that class that was like signifying of that idea?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I did have a moment while I was in Prague, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even remember what it was about, but I was just having a day, and Dr. Lepowski noticed, and she like came over, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? And I was like, no, genuinely don't remember what it was about. But I remember her being like, it's okay. Like, this is a new place, but like, or a new space, you know. But we're like learning about it. We're all in it together. Like, we're all here for you. And we're here to make good memories and, you know, don't worry. And it all worked out, of course, because she's
You made
amazing.
it a place.
We did make it a place. But yeah, I just can't help but thinking about that every time I travel now. So
That's great.
Yeah,
That's some good mentality right there. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pass the great book over to you.
I'm so excited.
You get to choose a color, many options,
cute.
and then kind of just leave your question for the next guest.
Oh, that was Chloe.
Yes.
I love her.
Yeah. And then, yeah, your first and last initial and the date.
Okay, got it.